Let's go online first. Siemens Energy RJ, Mr. Bruce, tell us more. Your company launched an innovation center for advanced energy technologies in Shenzhen. So can you tell us more about this initiative and also the importance of global cooperation and collaboration in this regard? Sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for having me on this esteemed panel. As you said, end of January, we launched in Shenzhen our new Global Innovation Center, which is forming a part really of a network of different innovation centers we are establishing around the globe to tackle really elements of energy transformation. And for us, we started off in this innovation center with three main subjects, which is around smart energy, advanced turbine technology, and green hydrogen. As a company with its 90,000 employees and really cutting across the whole value chain based on our 25,000 or more than 25,000 patents, we obviously want to make sure that the whole value chain from electricity production, transmission and storage, but also driving efficiency in systems gets finally captured there and learnings get done jointly. And in this regard, the collaboration with our Chinese partner, but also between China and the European Union from a policy-making perspective is done in this center. Three things I would like to highlight, particular in this discussion. First of all, we do need these global partnerships, bringing knowledge and best practice together. Second, out of this knowledge, we have to make sure that we also create real projects, lighthouse examples where the world can learn from on how do we build a new energy system. And the third element, we do need the people. We tap in Shenzhen in one of the most vibrant talent resource pools, highly skilled people, but at the same time also we tap into the opportunity to bring the subject of energy transformation and of what needs to be done into the society discussion, which we need to have in China, which we need to have in Europe, which we need to have in other parts of the world, because the people need to understand that this is probably one of the biggest opportunities we have now to rebuild our world in terms of energy. And President Xi said it himself, we are today living in a global community with a shared future, and I think that is a very true statement. We can only resolve the challenge what we have ahead of us together, and there is no solution to climate challenges without China, and in this regard, Shenzhen forms for us an instrumental part in our innovation network globally. And we are in close discussion also, obviously, with the big players in the Greater Bay Area. I had an active discussion also with the state chairman on how we can drive it forward to make sure that we also now really drive the visibility of solutions where the world can learn from. And as I said, we start with these three labs around smart energy, turbine technologies and green hydrogen to build the future, and also tying in the more than 160 universities which we have in the Greater Bay Area. And this is something I'm very confident. Let me close with one thing, and I think this is an important element in such an esteemed panel. We have to make sure between policymakers, companies and academia that we get a narrative into the society that energy transformation is a necessity, but also a huge opportunity to create a climate for change jointly. And in this regard, I'm looking very much forward to the results really from this innovation center, which will be seen globally.
People, technology, and partnership, as you said, bringing that challenge into opportunity, so crucial right now. Really appreciate it. Next, let's go to the UAE. Mr. Ambassador, good to see you once again. Mr. Ambassador, UAE has been working with China for so many different fronts. Energy, renewable energy, the same. You have already something called a largest single-site power plant called the Noor Abu Dhabi, and you have more plans. Tell us more about what exactly those plans are, and how do you see this green energy cooperation? Where is it bringing us together?
Thank you, Tian Wei. Yeah, when it comes into energy, it's really it's a very important area, particularly for UAE. UAE is fortunate to be a hydrocarbon country, and we are sitting on 10% of world reserves. So that's something which is really, we are fortunate. However, to show great commitments toward sustainability and, of course, United Nations sustainability goals, we have been moving toward renewable energy and other sources of energy at very early stage, and addressing the environment in a big way. We have put on an energy strategy 2050, and this is the first unified strategy in the country that is based on not only in demand, but based also on supply. So we aim to increase the contribution of clean energy or renewable in the total of energy mix from around 30% to 50%. Apart from having so much reserves of oil and gas, we are fortunate to have so much sun. And the sun brings energy for us. So we have come with the great initiatives in putting in a huge solar platforms, not only in Abu Dhabi. You refer to Al-Noor. And Noor is, of course, this is mean light in Arabic. And this is one massive mega project which we have in the UAE. By 2050, we should have renewable energy contributing in our energy mix, which is really very important to have all energy mix, around 50%. The country planning up to 2050 to invest $200 billion in energy, renewable energy. So what does it mean? It means a lot of opportunities are over there. So the bottom line over here, the country paying so much attention to the renewable and showing great commitments. One commitment, we are homing ARENA in UAE. Okay, so this is in our carbon-free city called Masdar. Second, we are bidding for hosting COP28 in the UAE by 2023. And that shows great commitments from the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. I know UAE is celebrating 50th anniversary this year, and you have 50 goals to coincide with that. And among them, clean energy, renewable energy, a very important area. Congratulations on that. Let me move on to the next ambassador. Ambassador coming from Portugal. Good to see you, Ambassador Torte. Tell me more about your country. Now you have something like the largest floating wind farm on the sea on the continental Europe. How does that work? And how is it correlates with the rest of your new energy plan, Mr. Ambassador?
Thank you very much, Tian Wei. It's also a pleasure being in here. Well, like previous speaker said, he's a lucky one because his country is seated on 10% of carbohydrates in the world. So he has a huge source of energy to be explored. My country doesn't have that. My country is rather medium-sized in Europe, small compared with the rest of the world. But we have one of the biggest economic zones, maritime economic zones in the world, because we have many islands and big sea. And this sea happens to be the North Atlantic. The North Atlantic, it's quite windy. So it means that we are seated in front of a huge platform of renewable natural energy that can allow us with adequate technology to invest and to take the profit of this huge opportunity. Well, the point is this wind farm that you mentioned is in fact the biggest offshore wind farm in the world, and it's the result of some important things. First, the Portuguese goals of having a completely neutral decarbonized economy pretty soon, in 2040. Nowadays, almost 50% of all our energy is renewable, already consumed in Portugal. So we are in the front line of this politically, but also technologically. But also, it's important that this wind farm, it's the result not just of our will, but of our openness and will to dialogue and to learn from the others. The money that is invested in there is both Portuguese and from many other countries. The technology using there, it's both Portuguese and from many other countries as well. So this is the result of technology, will, but also good cooperation and international understanding for a same goal. The positive impact of this bet, it's not just for the profit of Portugal, it's for the profit of Europe altogether. So it's a project that it's quite dear to all of us and with a huge impact. There's also an important factor. We have already many wind farms and solar farms in mainland Portugal. Not always they are popular. The populations like to have cheap energy, but they don't like to see the wind farms, the windmills in the landscape. The fish in the sea, they don't complain as much. So sociologically, it's important to bet on the renewable transformation of this wind production, but at the same time to follow the sociology and the sensitiveness of the populations to feel integrated and not alienated of this process. And so this wind farm is a wonderful experiment that is taking place internationally and also for our society.
Sounds fun. The way you analyze it, how it works both with a big plan and make everybody feel comfortable being involved. Very crucial. Now let's go to the CEO of Hitachi ABB Power Grids, Mr. Claudio Fachin. Mr. Fachin, I know we earlier talked about accelerate the energy transition, but how do you see some of the key technological development that you see are crucial in this process?
Thank you. And first of all, let me start thanking State Grid of China, IRENA, and the WEF to organize such a forum. We heard it, and I want to stress again that it's an excellent initiative that is putting the right focus on two aspects, the collaboration and the urgency of all stakeholders to take action. We all know that the recent report from the IPCC has put urgency as a key aspect of addressing the unprecedented climate change. And this is one of the biggest global challenges that we certainly face, and it is clear, and we heard it throughout the sessions, that we need to act, and we need to act now. Starting from the energy sector that represents more than 70% of the global emissions, hence the energy transition is central, obviously, to achieve this carbon neutrality. Electricity, on its turn, will continue to be the backbone of the entire energy system, and therefore it's central to this clean energy transition. It is also encouraging to see that there is many countries out there that are committing, adopting ambitious plans, positioning also the stimulus funding as part of the energy transition. And when it comes to then the key enablers from a technology standpoint, three aspects. From a supply standpoint, investing in renewables. From a demand standpoint, there is a lot to do in terms of energy efficiency, to reduce consumption, optimize it. But in between, and a few panelists mentioned this before, how do we make sure that we transmit and distribute that power, that electricity, in an efficient, reliable, and resilient way? There is many technologies out there, and I want to make it clear that it's not the technology, the bottleneck that we see today to achieve the ambition goals 2030 and 2050. It is about the deployment of such technology and of course, also leveraging a rapid digitalization that are the critical elements. It is technology to make the infrastructure strong, like high voltage DC technology, like power quality, but it is also a technology like digitalization to make it smarter. China, in that sense, it's really an excellent example on how to consistently, long-term, invest and develop all those three elements, and particularly the grid part. And it has been a privilege, of course, for us to be partner in this journey. Chairman Xin Baoan mentioned it and share very concrete examples. And I want to use the same examples. First of all, the ultra-high voltage DC link, Chanji-Guchan. It's an incredible undertaking in terms of technology. It has increased 50% the capacity, taking it to a 1,200 megawatt of power, and it also 50% longer distances. And this enables integrating remote renewables at large scale and transmitting power, obviously, over great distances. This technology, it's now available for other countries, other markets to leverage. The other example is Tian Wei, and this is a great example of integrating hybrid technology, again, creating a DC grid that will allow to not only distribute, but also create more quality of the output of that electricity. And last but not least, I want to add one example when it comes to digitalization. It is about demand response that the Chairman Xin mentioned. It is also about optimizing with digitalization, operation, maintenance, and OPEX and CAPEX expenditures. And in that sense, we're contributing from our side also to work on asset performance management that optimizes operation and maintenance of all those critical assets. Now, just to close, it is very important, though, once we understand the technology, of course we'll continue to innovate, of course we'll continue to invest in new areas, but technology, it's there today. What we need is the right policies, the right regulatory framework to foster business models and to create the scale and the speed that is necessary for us to deliver a secure, a sustainable, and a scalable energy system such as power grids. With that, finally, of course, we need to make sure that all of this is inclusive and that we have, all of us, the benefit of these investments and the benefit of a cleaner energy system by 2050. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bachin, giving us different layers of answers about what to do. Now, let's move on to the next speaker, Mr. Guo Jianbo, the academician coming from the China Academy of Engineering. China is committed to 2060 carbon neutrality. In March, earlier this year, we saw 14th five-year plan China put forward, the very first five-year plan that has actually put that goal into the overall structure. Now, Professor Guo, tell us more about what is the pathway. Do we know already?
Well, I think there's three pathways. One is to reduce carbon emission. Second, improve carbon sink. Third, reduce energy density. The 14th five-year plan, from my point of view, the biggest insight or highlight of that is that this is the first time GDP targets are not included in the five-year plan. And for the first time, non-fossil fuels shares is included in the plan. This has demonstrated the resolve and commitment of the Chinese government. So as far as we understand from the government, different government authorities are developing their policies and measures or toolbox to support the 30-60 goals. And from a business point of view, many ambitious and visionary businesses are also making lots of efforts, including SGCC They are making an investment of 380 billion in developing clean technologies. So they are very ambitious and visionary. There are also lots of Chinese people, ordinary citizens, who are turning up to the AC, and they are also using public transportation so as to reduce their carbon footprint and do their part in this energy transition whole process. So, in China, we say that we are going to honor our commitments and deliver on our
And very
goals.
efficient answer.
Thank you.
Down to
Thank
earth
you.
as well.
Make progress
Next,
together.
so we have
Thank you very much.
ambassador coming from Mozambique to China. Ambassador Gustava, tell me more about how you see China is investing in Mozambique's energy sector. How do you see, developing countries together, bigger or smaller, can work together toward that goal?
Thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to thank the organizer for inviting me for this important debate on very special issue on the carbon neutrality. Indeed, Mozambique has energy as one of a priority. The country has a huge potential on all type of energy. And also because Mozambique is one of those countries that has been suffering from the climate change, for disasters. I think everybody knows that we were hit by the cyclones and all that. So we are really looking for the development of the new and clean energy. So it is where companies like State Grid come into in, because we can have the synergy and the partnership, and they bring the new technology, and they can bring all the best practice from what they are doing all over the world for our development. We as Mozambique, the developing country, we are best positioned because we may not make the same mistake that was done before. We can start having infrastructure that goes according to the new requirements of the Paris Agreement. And also we believe that bringing this technology alone is not enough. We need to train our people. We need to change the behavior of the people and involve everybody in the process for them to be aware what is the importance to have this clean energy, to develop the clean energy. And so we think that the global efforts, we can make difference, we can learn from other countries. I heard from the Brazil experience today was very valid, that can be applied in the country like Mozambique, because we're all developing countries, so we can, I'm not for that we can copy past, because each reality is different from the others, but we can exchange a view and establish the partnership, and all together we can make a difference. So Mozambique is one of those countries that is really wanted to invest more on the energy, because can become one of the regional power in Southern Africa. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that, a voice coming from Africa. We're going to have more voices coming from Africa. Talk about public awareness at this stage, crucial for your country, and also that collaboration among developing countries, South-South cooperation, as some say. Thank you, Madam Ambassador. Moving on to Vice President of EEI, online with us, Lawrence Jones. Mr. Jones, thank you so much for joining us. Electrification is fundamental to achieve the net zero goals. How do you see technology is playing its role, and what are some of the other factors that you see are crucial in this process? Please.
Well, thank you very much. And again, thanks to the World Economic Forum, thanks to Secret of China, and also to Irina for inviting me. I'm calling in from Denver, Colorado today, so it's very early for me, but I thought this was a very important dialogue and I wanted to definitely be part of it. First of all, let me just say the Electric Institute, we represent all the investor-owned utilities in the United States. We also have about 70 international members operating in about 90 countries, together providing electricity for 3 billion people around the world. I appreciate the question as it relates to what else needs to happen. I think what's important, and Mr. Starachi in the previous panel, as well as Mr. Bernard talk about the importance of technology, talk about innovation. The CEO of both Siemens and ABB have emphasized the importance of innovation. I think what is important for us to keep in mind is that as I work around the world with utility executives and with policymakers, I think there are three things to keep in mind. First of all, we need to understand what I would call the economics of the energy transition. The energy transition, like many transitions, have various factors to it. And I think it will be a big mistake for us as a global community to not really study and take into consideration what is it going to cost to make this energy transition work. So I think the economics of the transition is a very important factor that we have to take into consideration. The next thing that I hear a lot about, and I think I'm spending a lot of time focusing on, it's what I call the need for the supply chain. Supply chain diversification is going to be extremely important going forward. We already see, because of the global pandemic, we've seen the price of PV to begin to go up. And we also seen other choke points in the supply chain around the world. So we need to think about the issue of globalizing the supply chain to make sure we have enough resources that can make the energy transition a reality by the year 2050. I appreciate the comments from the ambassador from Mozambique and others who've talked about energy transition and just transition. I think here it's extremely important to keep one thing in mind, that no nation in the world has electrified without being industrialized. And I think industrialization, whether it's in Africa and other parts of the developing world, is going to be key. I think the focus for the energy transition has to also be how to industrialize every nation in the world, because as we all know, electrification is not done alone based on the residential customers. There has to be industries to be able to benefit from the use of electricity. The last point I would like to make, going back to the conversation I was held by the CEO of KEPCO, is the importance of collaboration. One of the things we do at the Edison Electric Institute is to be this global platform for collaboration among utilities from around the world. So I think most of the other issues have been covered by previous speakers, but I will really emphasize the importance to focus on the economics of the transition and also to focus on the behavior of the customers and understanding how we go forward. Thank you so much.
Moving on the stage, Ambassador Moller coming from Denmark. Many countries have been committing to the Paris Agreement. Of course, they're all making a lot of efforts, including many of the ladies and gentlemen, they're representing their home countries. Denmark, you're coming from, Mr. Ambassador, has been doing really quite a successful job so far. Would you like to share some of your successful experiences?
I promise you the short story about Denmark going from black to green, so to speak. And as you know, Denmark is it's a fairly small country, but we are committed and have been committed to work together with the global community to raise ambitions and fight climate change. And by sharing our experiences, we hope to provide other countries with solutions to move forward on sustainable development as well. We do so both in a multilateral framework in which we consider in particular China an essential partner, but also we do that at the government-to-government level where we work together with, I believe, 19 of the most emitting countries that actually constitute 2/3 of the global emissions. And that includes China as well. But the story about our green transition, it starts back 5 decades ago when Denmark was entirely dependent upon fossil fuels. Actually, in 1972, oil accounted for 92% of our gross energy consumption. So when the OPEC oil crisis hit in Denmark in 1973, the Danish economy and the Danish energy system was hit very, very hard. But this crisis that we experienced almost 50 years ago became a catalyst for long-term energy planning in Denmark. And from then on, in Denmark, we began to construct district heating using surplus heat from power plants, improving energy efficiency in buildings, developing the use of renewable energy and making the entire energy system more efficient and sustainable. And by this, we have transitioned from a fossil-based economy and managed to decouple, and that is very important, decouple our economic growth from rising energy demand. So over the past decade, the Danish economy has grown approximately 100%. Energy consumption has decreased, and the emission of greenhouse gases has dropped quite significantly. We do have our long-term goal, that is to become climate neutral by 2050. According to latest projections, we will actually cover 100% of our electricity consumption in 2028. But we are not there yet. Even Denmark is not there yet, because as one said, the future is uncertain. The only certain thing is that the future is electric. And may I just sort of, touch upon a final issue of climate initiative in Denmark. And that is, in fact, that the Danish Parliament last year decided, that it was quite a historic decision, decided to that the future extraction of fossil fuels from the North Sea will be fully phased out from 2050. So this is another move from my government in that field.
Thank you so much for your collaboration, and all the best to all those projects. 2050, I'm looking forward to that. Next, let's have an ambassador from Kenya to China. Ambassador Saram, South-South cooperation, I really have to mention that once again, because there's one beautiful project your country has with China. It's called Garissa Solar Plant. It is a solar energy project. Tell us more on how it is working and what are some of the other collaborations your country is looking for in terms of having renewable energies.
I want to mention that Kenya is quite alive to the conversation around the energy transition, and indeed aims to achieve 100% green energy as one of the strategic plans of the country. We have over 70% of our nation's installed electricity capacity coming from renewable energy sources. This is hydro, we talk about geothermal, leading the production of energy. But we have solar still at 3% and wind at 11%. Garissa, as you have mentioned, which is called Garissa Solar Power, is one of the major projects undertaken in collaboration with China. It is contributed about 2% of the national power grid. This is a major contribution. But looking at what we call solar energy, contributing only 3% and 11% for wind and energy, there is enormous opportunity for the collaboration around this area. The gap between where we are and where we anticipate to be is a great window of opportunity for greater collaboration. This includes actually electrifying the country's major railway line, the SGR, which we all know, because it's the plan of Kenya to put that line on electricity and renewable energy for that matter. So with this collaboration and considering the kind of climatical condition that Kenya enjoys, we talk about sunshine of 365 days in a year. This is immense resource that is yet to be explored. And collaboration around this area will definitely ensure that Kenya enjoys renewable green energy. So if and when Kenya will eventually access that affordable solar panels, because our intention is to have China put in a manufacturing industry to provide the panels and make all this energy accessible and cheap so that every Kenyan can be able to afford that. And with this, we know that we can be able to afford and reach an environment where we have green, safer, and easy and affordable source of energy across Kenya, including even the rural areas, which is our plan going forward. Thank you.
Well said, Madam Ambassador. So to get there with your partner.
Absolutely.
And encouraging them to get there so that you will get there too.
Exactly.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. Now let's go to our last speaker, Jean-Pascal Tricois, who is the chairman and CEO of Schneider Electric. Mr. Tricois, I know your company has been ranking at the almost at the very top for a sustainable company in Corporate Knights ranking. So congratulations on that. But having said that though, it's not about riding on the waves of green enthusiasm. It is really about having your own visions and implement your own visions. So tell us more about how you are doing this, especially with digital transformation, and how you are doing it together with energy management and automation. Please, sir.
At Schneider Electric, our purpose is to develop technologies to empower all to make the most of energy and resources. On doing that, we want to bridge progress on sustainability for all. Sustainability is at the very core of our business, and we've built a strong legacy, a strong footprint in this area. We are never complacent in our achievements. Instead, we are ambitious and anxious to do more. When it comes to sustainability, our efforts are focused on both sides of the equation. On one hand, we want to be a role model. We want to ensure we lead sustainability in our own ecosystem, through our own actions, with our partners, with our customers, and across the extended supply chain. And on the other hand, we bring everyday innovation and deliver sustainability solutions for our customers through our products, software, and services, and we help our customers to save on carbon emissions. We believe that two technologies available today, not tomorrow, digitalization and clean electrification, are the key elements to resolve the major issue of climate change. First, digital, because digital allows for a much higher level of efficiency. We can become at least 30% more efficient in buildings and industries than what we have today just by the application of digital solutions. Digital solutions are also absolutely necessary to the construction of a new power infrastructure, which is aimed at achieving clean, low carbon and secure energy systems. We are really looking at what China is doing, moving ahead with a digital power grid, where data becomes a core production factor. With the deep integration of energy and information, we can all achieve a major step towards our carbon neutrality goals. Second technology is clean electrification, as electrification is the only way to decarbonize energy. Think here, more renewable, more microgrids, more solar, more wind, more storage. The State Grid affiliate in Zhejiang province provides a great example on how digital and clean electrification can go hand in hand to help achieve energy efficiency and sustainability goals. Hangzhou Xinmei Electric recently obtained the first carbon neutrality certificate from the China Energy Conservation Association. We partnered with them to provide microgrid solutions so that they can achieve greater predictive and optimized control of their energy. Hangzhou Xinmei is now well on its way to a green and zero carbon industrial campus, with a 146% increase in new energy generation, 21% increase in new energy penetration, and a 13% decrease in energy costs. China is one of our biggest markets on a global scale, and we are committed to work together with our partners, such as State Grid, our customers, and our suppliers to achieve their carbon neutrality goals. There is a lot of green potential that we can jointly unlock, including opportunities in energy infrastructure, construction particularly, and upgrades, as well as in the acceleration of digital deployment in buildings, industries, and infrastructure. Together, we can really work on the transition to net zero buildings, net zero plants and industrial parks, as well as net zero cities. We will continue to provide green products, digital technologies, software and solutions that will contribute to a greener, cleaner and more sustainable world.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cui Kwa. With that beautiful analysis, we're wrapping up this round of our discussion, the high-level dialogue. On behalf of our organizers, I would really want to thank you to represent your country, your best practices, and your ambition being on the stage with us. And I also want to, on behalf of all of us sitting here on the stage, thank the organizers of today's event. Look at that. I mean, how many forums, international ones these days, will be able to bring so many people throughout this afternoon and evening together? This is quite a miracle. Congratulations to the State Grid, to ARENA, and also to the World Economic Forum. You are making our days cleaner and greener. Thank you. Really appreciate that.